Good day, viewers at home. You're once again welcome to Akimo's Online Education Services. Today we are going to look at, I'm your geography instructor. Today we are going to look at basic concepts in map reading 2. If you can remember, in our last class, we examined basic concepts in map reading 1, where we looked at the meaning of map reading, types of maps, and importance of maps. So today, we are going to examine map scale. Have you ever wondered how Nigeria, for instance, is being drawn on a very tiny piece of paper? Or how the world, Africa, is being reduced to a very tiny piece of paper that you can carry it with your hands? The magic is called scale. So what is map scale? Map scale expresses the relationship between a given distance on the map and the actual distance on the ground. That is to say, a map scale is used to reduce a very large area into a piece of paper that you can handle as a map. Good. Types of scale. There are 3 ways you can express this relationship between a distance on the map and a distance on the ground. Meaning, there are 3 types of scale. Number 1 is statement scale. Number 2 is representative fraction, otherwise known as RF. And number 3 is linear scale. We are going to take them one by one. We take the first one, statement scale. I'm sure we know what a statement is. Okay, so what is statement scale? A statement scale expresses the relationship between a given distance on the map and the actual distance in form of a statement. That is, words and figures. It expresses that relationship between a distance on the map and the actual distance in form of a statement, words and figures. Example of statement scale. We have 1 centimeter represents 1 kilometer. It means 1 centimeter on the map is actually 1 kilometer on the ground. Do you know how many centimeters make 1 kilometer? 100,000. If you see a scale like this, it means the area was reduced 100,000 times before it can be fit into that map. Another example. 2 cm, which is 2 centimeters, represents 3 km. Another example, we have 1 cm represents half km, half kilometer. This is a short form of writing it. Just like I said earlier, 1 cm measurements you make on your map. Let's assume this is our map. Then you measure, for instance, from here to here, 1 centimeter. It actually means on the real ground, from here to here is 1 kilometer. Okay. So that's the statement scale. It expresses the relationship between a given distance on the map and the actual distance in form of a statement. That is words and figures. Good. We look at number 2. Representative fraction. I'm sure in elementary mathematics you were taught fraction and ratio. Good, this is the time to use it. Before we look at what representative fraction is, what is a fraction by the way? You see, you have something like this, 1 over 2. 1 ratio 2. This is a fraction. This is a ratio. Good. If this is a fraction, we know this is 1, but there is another name for it. We call this numerator, while we call this denominator. Good. Now that we know this, let us see what representative fraction is. This type of scale is given in form of a fraction or a ratio. The numerator stands for the distance on the map, while the denominator stands for the distance on the ground. Now we know what representative fraction is. I take it again. We said a representative fraction expresses the relationship between the distance on the map and the actual distance in form of a fraction or ratio. Example: 1 over 100,000, or 1 ratio 100,000. 1 over 50,000, or 1 ratio 50,000. 1 is the numerator. It stands for the distance on the map, while 100,000 is the denominator, which stands for the distance on the ground. Both the numerator and the denominator are in the same unit, which is centimeters. What is this trying to tell us is 1 cm on the map is 100,000 cm on the ground. So if you are using this scale and you make a 1 centimeter measurement on your map, it actually means the area you just measured is 1 kilometer, 100,000 centimeters on the ground, which is equivalent to 1 kilometer. Then this 1 cm on the map is actually 50,000 cm on the ground, which is the same thing as saying 1 centimeter on the map represents half a kilometer on the ground. So that is our representative fraction. When you pick a topographical map, you will always see it. You will always see it. Let's take for instance this map. You can see it here, scale 1 ratio 50,000. It means 1 centimeter on the map is actually 50,000 centimeters on the ground. And I told you earlier, 50,000 centimeters is the same thing as half kilometer. Okay, so let us look at number 3, linear scale. A linear scale is a straight line drawn to show the relationship between the distance on the ground and the distance on the map. It's a straight line drawn to show the relationship between a given distance on the map and the actual distance on the ground. Let's have a diagram. It says a straight line, you have it like this. Good. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have kilometer. This is an example of a linear scale. How do we use this scale? It's very simple. You pick up your ruler. You place it on 0. Let your 0 align with the 0 on the scale. Let's take, for instance, from 0 to 1 is 2 centimeters. 2 cm. Good. Take it again back. Put the 0 sound on 1, then read it to 2. From 1 to 2 is also 2 cm. To be sure, take it again. From 2 to 3 and measure. After measure from 2 to 3, you also have 2 cm. Good. With these 3 conformations, from 0 to 1 is 2, 1 to 2 is 2 cm, 2 to 3 is 2 cm, definitely 3 to 4 will be 2 cm. You take 1, you write it down, 2 centimeters represents, after 0 is 1, after 1, 2, after 2, 3, and 4. It therefore means the difference between 4 and 3 is 1. 3 and 2 is 1. 2 and 1 is 1. 1 and 0 is 1. We pick 1. After 4 is kilometer. So represent 1 kilometer. The numbers on top stands for the kilometer, which is distance on the map, while the measurement below stands for the distance on the map, which is 2 centimeters. So this scale, interpretation of this linear scale now is 2 cm represents 1 kilometer, which we can break it down. 2 cancels itself 1, 2 goes into 1, half. 1 cm represents half kilometer. That is the interpretation of that linear scale. Alright, if you look at our linear scale very well, you will agree with me that there are 2 subdivisions. This is what we call secondary units. Then the whole of this is called the primary units or division. The primary division is the most useful part of the scale. The secondary division is a subunit of 1 unit in the primary division. So as far as this map reading is concerned, we focus on the primary division of the scale, of the linear scale. So, dear viewers at home, we have been able to express the different and explain the different types of map scale. We said we have a linear statement scale, which gives the form of a statement, words and big figures. We have representative fraction, which gives us express the relationship in form of fraction or ratio. Then we also have the linear scale, which gives us expresses the relationship in form of a straight line drawn to show us the relationship between distance on the map and the actual distance on the ground. Our next topic is scale conversion. How can you convert from this to this, or this to this, or from one type of scale to any other type? So let's run it, see how we can briefly look at conversion of scale. I want you to know that it's very, very easy and very, very possible to convert from one form of scale to the other form. And I would advise you, whenever you come across a topographical map, that you need to read the scale. Always convert the scale to the one you understand most. Conversion of scale. Conversion of scale. Just like I said earlier, in map reading, it's very easy and possible to convert from one scale to the other. So today we are going to look at how to convert from statement scale to representative fraction. Conversion from statement scale to representative fraction. The procedure for converting from statement scale to representative fraction is as follows. Number one, you write out the scale clearly. For instance, convert 1 cm represents 2 kilometers to representative fraction. Convert 1 cm represents 2 kilometers to representative fraction. So the first thing you need to do is to write the scale out clearly. 1 cm, 1 cm represents 2 kilometers. Having written down the scale very clearly, the next step you need to follow is write the two parts of the scale in the same units. 1 cm represents 2 km is the same thing as saying 1 cm represents 200,000. The same thing as saying 1 cm represents 200,000. Having written it down clearly, write the scale as a fraction with the distance on the map as numerator and distance on the ground as denominator. Convert it to fraction. We have 1 distance over 200,000. You have this takes away this, and at the end of the day we have 1 cm 1 ratio 200,000 or 1 remember why we have 200,000 simply because 100,000 cm give us 1 kilometer. So the representative fraction of 1 cm represents 200,000 is 1 ratio. 1 cm represents 2 kilometers is 1 ratio 200,000. Viewers at home, you've been able to see how to convert from one scale, conversion of statement scale to representative fraction. In our subsequent class, we are going to examine how to convert from representative fraction to statement scale, and we will also look at size of scale. Of course, different maps have different scale size, so we'll look at this when we meet again. Kindly go through the notes on the site, do the assignment that comes with the notes, drop your questions, and make sure you read subsequent topics that is attached to the note. Thank you for watching. See you same time next week.